start living with someone, you end up seeing them a lot. You heard this story before. And if you're living in sharing a studio apartment and you're working from home, and they're the kind of person who doesn't close the bathroom door when they're inside, you see them even more than expected. It's actually really hard not to see them, which is not a bad thing unless they're your partner and you're trying to focus on something else besides how cute they look today, or when they're going to do that thing that you asked them to do an hour ago. Both are very distracting. So when I was offered a one-bedroom in my current building, I said yes. And moving within the building is key because I'm in affordable housing in a great neighborhood. I'm in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, super far away. Woo, yay, Fort Greene. And not to brag or anything, but after I moved in, it became incredibly popular. Took about 10 years, but after I came, artists and families came, high-rise apartments, tech workers, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and then finally Starbucks, which is how you know your neighborhood is officially safe, but maybe no longer cool. I mean, I just want to be able to barbecue on the sidewalk and buy pistachio milk, you know? I mean, I don't buy pistachio milk, but if I ever got allergic to dairy, soy, almonds, cashews, rice, and oats, I would like the option. I still love my neighborhood though, and moving within my building is how I can afford to stay. The building's old and it does have issues, but you know, it's like having golden handcuffs. The neighborhood's so great, you can't leave. And if you try, you might get stuck in the elevator. I used to see handprints all over the walls and think it was rowdy kids, but now I know it was desperate adults. And moving into a bigger apartment means that I can finally justify spending the money to make it look nice, because I plan to do the same thing a lot of my neighbors have done, die inside. So we bought cork flooring to cover the beige vinyl flooring because every time I came home I felt like I was going back to school and I really wanted to graduate. And we decided to install the flooring ourselves to save money. Interestingly, every time I say that, people say good luck like same way you'd say be careful. We've never installed floors ourselves, but my partner has watched how-to videos on YouTube, which I know is how a lot of traumatic things start, but he's confident we can do it. And he's really handy. He's learned how to do a lot of home repair stuff online. Once he Googled the most efficient way to wash a lot of clothes, and did the equivalent of 4 loads of laundry at once by dumping it into the bathtub. Yeah. The agitation cycle was me coming into the bathroom every 30 minutes to ask when I could finally take a shower. But back to the move. Unfortunately, we had problems from the beginning. The flooring was accidentally delivered to someone in Boston, and no one knew where it was except for the person who got it and didn't know what to do with it. And they found something to do with it because 6 boxes were missing when the shipping company figured out what happened and picked it back up. And then the new apartment wasn't ready for us to move in on the day we were supposed to move, so we lived on the edges of the studio apartment for a week because everything was like piled up in the middle of the room. It was actually the first time we had privacy. We couldn't see each other if we were on different sides of the room. Ultimately, what ended up happening is that we moved into the new apartment before we could install the floors, which is kind of like making peanut brittle for your friend who's allergic to nuts and asking them to eat around the nuts. So we decided to put all the stuff in the living room, then install the floors in the bedroom, then move everything to the bedroom, then install the floors in the living room, and then move most of the stuff back to the living room, and then finally unpack. we both enjoy exercising and are always looking for ways to do it more often, but we were having a hard time thinking of this as something besides moving 3 times. I mean, even if you're a professional mover, at least you get to move different stuff to a new place. But even with a good attitude, it doesn't change the fact that the bedroom is smaller than the living room, which is why it's called the bedroom and not the other living room. So my partner came up with a revised plan to let go of as much stuff as we could before installing any floors. So he filled a few trash bags with his stuff to give away, and we were left with like 85% of stuff, which was mostly mine. So I filled a couple trash bags with my stuff, and we were left with like 81%. And then I filled a few more bags, and we were left with like 78%. And then I remembered that my partner has really nice stuff, so I went through his bags and I took a few things out. I'm not a hoarder. I looked it up just to make sure. So apparently having more stuff than I need just makes me American. I have less than a month to let go of as much stuff as I can before my partner returns from a 3-month silent retreat at a Buddhist monastery, which I know is a big left turn in the story, and maybe a more interesting one than the one I'm telling you, but I won't know anything until he starts talking again. But while we're here, you might be thinking how hard this must be for me, and you might even be worried about how such an intense experience might change him, and maybe he might even not want to come back, which has happened before, which is why I'm sharing it with you all tonight, because I can see at least 10 people, and I've heard that a burden shared is a burden halved, and so if we all just take on about 10%, I think I'll feel a lot better. While we're at it, I found a bump on my head today, and I'm a little worried. It's probably nothing to it's probably fine, but I'd rather tell you than my mom, because she'll take on like 90% of the worry. When my partner comes back to the apartment, if he comes back, I am aware that it may become more obvious that I'm not enlightened. Because even if I let go of all of my stuff, he's still going to see me eat 4 bags of Chipotle chips for lunch sometime. But maybe the fact that I'm okay with that means something. I don't know if it's resignation, but that's still, I think, considered accepting reality. A few of my friends who enjoy decluttering offered to come help me declutter, which is super sweet and generous. But unfortunately, none of them are trained therapists, and all of them are voluntary friends, so I said no. But I think I'm getting better at figuring out what to let go of, and I get a lot more productive when I have a deadline. Like before I had to leave to come here tonight, I found 4 things to let go of. I took 1 back, so 3 total, but thank you for that. So wish me luck, guys, and thank you so much for listening.